Boards. Board games, board games. What we're talking about? Board games. I'm not gonna shout. And now we have over here person known as Nuria. And Nuria is a board game designer and also a publisher. And I remember back in the moment when we talked about the environment, because there was that manufacturer who wrapped the cards instead of plastic in paper. Board games is what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Games! Hello, Xate. Hello,
Hello.
Nuria. It is lovely to be here.
Hi, Beth. How are you? Thanks for having me here. It's great.
No, thank you for popping in. I am Bez, as has already been revealed. Just, well, to be fair, if you didn't know my name, it was over there. But it is approximately brunch time. We are going to be blethering about board games. So it is the Bezzy Brunchy board game blether. And today, am I saying your name correctly, Nuria?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, great. So today we are meeting Núria Casellas.
Yes, that's me.
And yes, Núria Casellas, and that is down at the bottom. And yeah. Now, to start off our day, as per usual, we are going to be talking about a brilliant thing. Here's a little thing which is brilliant.
Okay, that was a hard question. If I have to pick something just here around, I would pick, if it's not food, something I don't have right now that I really like, but I would pick a pen. I don't know if it's been picked before, but I would just pick it because I saw it just right next here, and it's kind of my favorite pen. And I don't know if people have, a pen that they go to sometimes for special things that, I don't mind using any pen for anything, but then sometimes when I'm, I have to go somewhere or I have to write something or I'm in a panel or whatever, sometimes I wear the pen that I like or that somebody gave to me, and it's kind of, meaningful or something. So I just saw it right next here, and that's the brilliant thing. Also for what you can do with it, because obviously a lot of us that design games or write stories or whatever, it's kind of a basic to have around and also carry it around in your purse or in your bag, so you can write
about pencils in the past. We have talked about pencils, but I don't think we've ever talked about pens. I mean, people know that
well,
I like Stettler Lumicolor, but there's something nice about a biro that doesn't seep through too much. And from that pen, you can do art, you can do representational art, abstract art, you can write a story, you can make a diagram. There's so much potential. It is, I mean, of course, you can only do two-dimensional things. You can't,
yeah,
I guess you could maybe take a blowtorch with a pen and turn it into a 3D sculpture, but that's kind of defeating the point of the pen, of course. The point of the pen is that within a two-dimensional space, you are only limited by your own imagination, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, that would be it. Oh, the favorite pen is out of ink. Yeah, that does happen. It's very annoying. But yeah.
Good morning, Alan. Lovely to have you with us. And pens are indeed a brilliant thing. And whether it's just for the function and the utility, or indeed whether you've got memories attached, or you just enjoy the aesthetics of the pen, or the exact tone that it goes, just enjoy your pen, appreciate it.
Yes, just do that. It's such a little thing that you can bring you, it brings you happiness, then that's great.
there's something lovely about writing with pen as opposed to typing. It gives it personality, as Sate says down below. Now, moving on, because this is a board game show, I would like to not spending too long, but if we talk about games, what have we been playing? What are their names? Games. So, what games have you been recently been playing, Núria?
Recently been playing. Well, I have to admit that I haven't. So the last board game that I played was the Seventh Continent, and the games that I've played more recently are video games. So I've been playing Divinity Original Sin 2, and I kind of tried to play a game called Starlink, which has these cool toys that you attach to your controller. And I had to try it because it just looked interesting. I like mixing analog and digital, and that seemed the kind of a fun idea to try to mix some components into a video game. And I like those kind of ideas. So those are the ones I've been playing. What about you?
Yesterday I got to play 4 games, which is quite a bit. So one of the games that I got to play was with Sate, who is in the comments. I'm loading up the screen, and yep, so this is Board Game Arena, where we played the game. It is Flaming Pyramids, and it's a weird one. I'm still not sure what to think about it. You're basically trying to put tiles on top of other things, and if the tile is too heavy, so the number represents the weight. If it can't be on top of something else, then it collapses. If fire is next to something, then there's mayhem and bad things happen. And so you put fire, hoping that your opponent will cause it to collapse, because when it collapses, you get more cards into your hand, and the object of the game is to run out of cards. So also, every time you place on the pyramid, it has to be, it has to be both lighter so that it can weight-wise stack up, but also it has to match either the number or the color. And so there's a lot to think about, and so you're managing your hands. There's 4 colors, there's 5 cards that you've got in your hand, so there's a little bit of maneuvering. I'm still not sure what I think of it. Yeah, and then I wanted to also share a couple of things. Firstly, we played a few games of Kitty Cataclysm, which is my game, with McCall and Chris. We played like 5 times. I won 3 times. And we played Clustered, which you can see my photo of. Have you played this one?
No, I haven't played that one.
It's by Vagard. You are basically trying to get lines and a rectangle of your shape. So here McCall was blue and won by, I think it was something like, I don't know, 44, 36, and 21. Because Chris, who was black, they had some difficulty at the start because I went right next to them, and then McCall went right next to us. And so it was like Chris was sandwiched in. And I think that's the case with any high interaction free player game. You're going to have someone who feels, oh no, I'm being attacked with both sides. But yeah, Chris didn't have a great experience with that one, I want to say, and I feel really bad about it. But then we also played Doddles, which I absolutely adore. Do you know this one?
No, haven't tried that.
This is by the same designer of Settlers of Catan, Klaus Teuber, and this was based on their first Spiel des Jahres winner, Barbarossa, but it's much better than Barbarossa, even though that won the prize and this one didn't. But this one's so much better. Although, having played it about 7 times, we're probably going to try a slight house rule for next time we play it. Because we've started feeling like guesses aren't incentivized enough. So instead of being 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 0, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. But basically, if you look through, it's like, what is this green thing? Now, you don't really know, but the idea isn't to make a perfect representation. The idea is to make a representation that once you say, okay, the first letter is C and the fourth letter is E, maybe you can guess what this object is. And if anyone wants to guess what the green object is, that's kind of what the game is. That's along the way you get more clues and more letters, and I've talked about it a fair bit, and it's so much fun. And that, wow, that's really bad.
And how are you playing? Are you playing on some platforms mainly, or are you able to meet with some people and play in person?
Oh, so there's 4 people outside of my household that have actually been seeing. So I've been seeing Chris and McCall. Chris was coming over to help me with work, and then we were like, yeah, it's fine if I see Chris and McCall, because Chris and McCall sleep together anyway. So we're kind of bubbling, if you know the concept. And so I see Chris McCall, Angie, and Layla. And again, here's another thing that I don't know if one can tell what stats is. And this one, yeah, all of these are meant to be guessed, but they're just, and this is the kind of game that you just could not play digitally, because it's all about sculpting with your hands. And
yeah, totally impossible. That's really nice. I would be terrible at this thing.
Oh no, that's the point.
It looks
you don't have to sculpt well, because I'm just going to tell you off the bat that the red one on the left is a pencil.
The red one on the left is a pencil.
Yeah, so you intentionally make it bad, because if people guess it straight away, you don't get so many points. Yeah. You want people to have to ask questions. So you want to make it difficult, but not too difficult.
Exactly. And then I might be better at that.
These are all completely wrong. The green one,
I thought it was a bottle too, and the other one, either a tree or a mushroom.
The green one, I can say that the fourth letter is an R, and it's a man-made thing. And if you want to guess, I will put up some clues on Twitter or something if I got the energy, or you can go to my Twitter, stuffbez.com/Twitter. No, wait. Sorry, twitter.com/stuffbez. That's what it is. Oh, it's not a good day, clearly. But some parts of life are good and are continuing to be enjoyed. So let's talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights. So life is not just about board games. So I would like to take a moment to appreciate other things. For example, I wanted to appreciate, Sate, the lovely conversation that we had. That is absolutely correct, by the way. It was an umbrella. Congratulations, that was an umbrella. Anyway, so the lovely conversation that I had with Sate, and doing a wee bit of hula hooping gave me a sense of achievement. And also, not only did I play games with Chris and McCall, but I cooked a lovely dinner of which I'm proud. Mushrooms, aubergine, peppers, red kidney beans, chopped tomatoes, lots of spice, bits of rice.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Sounds really good.
So what are your recent highlights? Have you enjoyed anything in the past few days?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, one of the things, it was like joining here, because I was thinking when we first talked about chatting, so this is a highlight, is that we've met quite, a lot of times, or a reasonable amount of times in conventions and things like that. But we've never really had time to chat. Because we were always, either you were demoing at the time that I came, or I was demoing, or then we were running in the convention, or we were doing 10,000 other things. And we've just said, hi, how are you? And then go to another thing. So I thought, oh, this is the time where we can actually have a nice chat. So that was kind of a fun thing to think about and looking forward to. And the good and other highlights is like, well, mainly trying to enjoy, a bit of we're not in real lockdown anymore, but we're still kind of trying to behave very, let's say, responsibly, and not trying to overdo too many things. So we're enjoying time with the few people that I have around, and trying to make sure that I feel good about that, and that I enjoy just being us, and keeping in touch with everybody via via phone or calling, or and getting also that kind of thing, that to make sure that you're still around, and everybody's there. And what I'm enjoying a lot is my walks with my dog, and that's always a highlight in my day, when I happen to go out with him, and just listen to music or something, and get him to play a bit, and that's a nice thing that I like doing.
That is so lovely. And I think you're right that even though I would wish that this whole pandemic hadn't happened, and that we were able to go to conventions. I really missed UK Games Expo and hugging people and so many other things. But we are going to have more and more viral infections, and we do have to think about things. But one nice thing that's come out of it has been time spent, at least for me, like through this, just sometimes having people on that I know, kind of on the periphery, as you say. Yeah, when do I never got to properly sit down with Golhova, but thanks to this, I got to join Golhova's playtest group and playtest a couple of games with them, which was brilliant. And meet all sorts of people virtually. It does mean that it's like distance is no longer the barrier. I mean, 5 months ago or whatever it was, I would be meeting so many wonderful people at Royal Festival Hall, all of whom I miss dearly. David Brain, Ellie Dix. Sometimes Mandela would come. There's Paul Mansfield was there every single weekend, and there's so many wonderful people, and it is a shame to not be able to have these people very regularly. But now that things are a little bit safer, then I feel like, okay, I can have at least 4 people in my regular life that, even if I'm not hugging or anything like that, we see our elbows together. It's right elbow, left elbow, right foot, left foot, and then jazz hands. That's how I greet people. But we are able to have a little bit of that connection through making clay, or seeing body language, and cooking a meal together. And I would say that because location is no longer a distance, it means that now we can have conversations. And speaking of remote meeting people together, Xate says that they felt very appreciated, one person after another writing or Skyping and saying some wonderful, unsolicited things. And I think that genuine compliments, it's not just about compliments for compliment's sake, it's just when someone actually enjoys something, that is the best feeling.
Definitely.
So, at this point, I would like to, before we get properly started, I would like to remind people to feel free to comment, ask any questions. Did I miss? Oh yeah, we had the question of where exactly you're from.
Where exactly am I from? I'm from a little town close to Barcelona. It's called Vic. That was where I was born, but I am actually in Barcelona right now. So in Barcelona, Spain. That's where I am right now.
Cool. Are you like basically the center of this metropolis?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. Because in one of the things that I think I haven't enjoyed very much during this during the lockdown and the pandemic is actually being in a very big city. I know that there's larger cities than this one. I think overall, counting also the surrounding towns, it's around 2 million. 1.5 million, 2 million people. But I think that being in a very crowded place, it felt more stressful, or at least that was the sensation that I had. When you go out the street is packed. It's very hard to just walk and find a quiet place, a quiet area where you can just, be without a lot of people. So that was one of the good things of living in a city, was having everything around you, right? Being able to go to lots of cinemas and lots of places and lots of restaurants with different types of food. But then in the pandemic lockdown, then it felt, crowded and full. But yes, I am close to the center. I'm close to the, let's say if I keep walking 15, 20 minutes down, I'm very close to the sea.
Wow, I didn't realize that. So 20 minutes to the sea, that sounds just beautiful.
Yeah, it is nice. I mean, not the sea that I have right in front of me, or the one that I can reach very easily, is the one quite next to the, let's say, the area of the port, or where the the little ships are. But so it's not really, I can see the beach. I need to walk to another area that's a bit farther away, but it is still quite nice to see the water and the sun reflected on it, and that kind of gives me a bit of a chill and calms me down.
Now, oh yes, if people do have any other questions, feel free to ask them. We might not get to them within like a second, but I will pop them in along the way as and when I can, for sure. And if you like this, then follow, all that stuff. But the first section, as usual, is the questionably quick question.
Oops.
Are you ready?
No. Come on, let's do this.
Did you have breakfast?
Yes.
When did you wake up?
I think it was between 8 and 9, 8 something, can't remember.
Iced coffee or hot tea?
Neither. Iced coffee, if I have to choose.
Okay. What is a good thing to eat or drink whilst playing games?
Somebody's gonna have my head for this, but chips.
I mean, would you be eating your chips with a fork or just with your hands?
I am. I know that this is a very contentious topic, so I already opened a very contentious topic, which is food on the table while playing. But that's I like playing, having fun, and for me, because we like very long games, that's part of being there, sitting with friends, eating some finger food that we can enjoy, and have a lot of napkins. A lot of napkins.
Yeah, I mean, there's something nice about not being too precious with your games if you can sort of remember that they are meant to be there for enjoyment.
Yeah, I see somebody asking in the chat, chips or crisps? Okay, crisps. And sorry for using the American chips term.
Okay,
but it's
so I would
crisp.
not have asked about the fork if I'd realised that you meant crisps. Thanks for yeah. Yeah, we don't use the word chips here to mean those crispy things. They're crisps, for goodness sake. Anyway, sorry. Who's the last person you spoke to in person?
Sorry, the last?
Who's the last person you spoke to in person?
The last person I spoke to in person is Craig,
person you spoke to
my
in
partner. Yeah.
And do you live with us?
Sorry, I'm having a bit of a trouble with the sound.
Oh, sorry, maybe my connection is quite bad today. I'm very sorry about this. I was just going to ask, books or podcasts?
I usually would prefer books, but I think that right now I don't have much. I don't have the concentration, so I would have to say that I do more podcasts. Right.
Me. Talk about the last book that you read.
The last book that I read, actually it's been a while, but it would have to be a comic. I see that Vez is frozen quite a lot. Is it just you or both of us?
Really sorry.
Oh yeah, I can see the chat. I can see the chat.
So, your favorite color to play?
Usually blue.
Cards or cubes?
Cards or cubes? Cards. Definitely cards. Thanks for asking the questions on the chat.
Wooden or plastic figurine?
Asking me why. Plastic. Sorry about that. I like those kind of games.
Wooden meeple or plastic figurine?
Plastic figurine. And as I said, sorry, but I do enjoy dungeon crawlers with lots of monsters and things like that. Those kind of games, and I really like it. It could be a cardboard figurine. I wouldn't mind so much. Arts or rules? That's a hard one. I will say rules.
Okay, can you tell me 3 games that you love?
3 games that I love. Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition. I really love that game. I play it every time I have a chance. We've even been playing it online, like not using a platform, but with some friends while looking at the board and using the app to share. And it worked quite well because of the app. People that are not on the table and cannot see it too well because we only have a camera, they can also look at the app and at least see the rooms and see some of the information there. So it works quite well to play with people that are not there. So that's why I really like it. And one other of my favorites is City of Kings, that I enjoy a lot. Yeah, I really enjoy that game. I think that it's a very nice blend of things that I found in different games that I liked, and it happened to just be there all together in one place. And I really like playing it. It also has a very nice length compared to some of the other games I play that are very long. So I recommend that one. And I don't know, some other games that I play, or I would say they are favorite for either recommending them or having them around so I can play them with a lot of different people, is, I don't know if you know, a series of games called, in Spain, it's called, I think, Sherlock. It's a card game that is like, it's a detective kind of a story, and it lasts for, you have to resolve it. It's a one-off. You have to resolve it in 60 minutes. And there's lots of them, and it's a kind of a thing to have in your pocket or in your bag. And then if you end up someplace, you have to wait for a long time, or you go with some friends and you don't know what to do for a little while, you just get that game out and you try to discover what happened in that case. And it's just really nice, very practical, and you can play it with nearly everybody, and it's just quite fun.
I don't know that, but that does sound really cool. And
I'll send
like
you
a
the
good
link later
narrative.
so you can have a look at them.
Javier asks, what's your favorite Catalonian themed game?
Catalonian theme game.
And self-promotion is allowed.
Self-promotion is allowed. Oh, come on. No, that I cannot do that. I'm very bad at self-promo. Let's see. I mean, there's one, but I haven't played it yet, but it looks really, really, really good. So I don't know if I should go for that one. There's several now that are like kind of Catalonian themed if we stretch it. There's, for example, Sagrada, which you could think it's a Catalonian theme game somehow, because it's from the Sagrada Familia, which is a Gaudí building here in Barcelona. Although it's stretching it a bit. But there are a couple of games of Catalonian traditions, like Castel, which looks really. I haven't played it yet. I haven't had the chance. Because it hasn't, I don't think it has been published here in Spain. It's only in English, I think, and it's about making human castles. So that's a theme that I really think it could be very interesting to have a look at, because it's something that we do. Well, I don't do it, but some people here does it, which is make human. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like so you put a bunch of people on the bottom, and then you keep putting more people up until you have like several floors of people, until a little guy, a little girl, or a little boy walks up,
Like
and then they salute at the
acrobatics.
top. Yeah,
I've heard about
it's
this
not
crazy
really acrobatic.
thing.
It's a lot of strength and a lot of balance, and in keeping it completely straight, so everybody can climb up the anchaneta, which is the one that climbs to the top, can salute and then come back the other way, and everybody can disarm what it's called, disarm the castle and bring it back down again properly. And that there's competitions about that, and I thought it was great that they've made a game about it. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the human castle. That's one of, I'm very bad at it, so I cannot recognize the names of the castle. But I think there's somebody here that might. I don't know if Aloy is listening, but yeah, he's tried it.
I wanted to ask you, what is a board game shop that you want to give a shout out to?
Here in Barcelona, well, there are many. So I'm gonna do kind of. It's kind of complicated to say just one, because I think that I've been into all of them, and I like going every now and then. So it's hard to pick one. But for example, there's La Maquinaria, which is a board game shop that is very mindful of what they refer to kilometer zero games. In that sense, it's promoting games that have been made or published in here, like around, or that have designers that from the country. So I like that a lot, because sometimes in some countries we tend to always buy games that come from Germany or England or the US, or UK, US and stuff. And they kind of promote also games that have been made here with Catalan Spanish designers. So I like that. But then there's also a lot of other shops that are in an area that's really cool. So if you ever come to Barcelona, you have to go to an area that's called the Freaky Triangle, okay? El Triangle Freaky, which is the nerd triangle. That's how we refer to it. Everybody talks about it that way. And it's a place where you can find a lot of board game shops, like Kaburi and Jupiter Juegos, etc., and a lot of anime shops and comic stores, and they are all around that area. And it's known as the Triangle Freaky, the nerd triangle, or the geek triangle, depending on which word do you prefer. So I would say that try those places. There's other shops too all around, so I would be sad not to say them all, but we don't have enough time.
Yeah, it sounds like this geeky triangle is really where to go. And Javier is talking about Castell, saying it's like a big cooperative game where the base must be steady or the whole tower will fall apart.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
I don't know if I would be up for doing that. It feels like you need such balance and you need to be not too scared of heights. I'm sure that
Not
it
at
takes
all.
amazing
I
practice. And
I
so
don't
I
think I would be able to do it. I'm always, amazed that they are so brave that they can go up that high, because sometimes it's like 5, 6 flights of people. It's really, really high. And it's not just about climbing it up, it's also about climbing it down in a steady manner. And there's different ways of constructing it. There's some castles that are only done once every 100 years, meaning that they fall when when they try to do them, or that sometimes they are only charged once in a X amount of years, which means they managed to get to the top and salute, but then it fell, which means all that amount of people fell to the bottom, and they're still hilariously happy because they managed to charge it. And it's something that if you're born in one of those towns, I think that you just feel it in your bones. My town didn't have that tradition, so we do have some groups that do it, but we didn't have that tradition. And it's for me, it's like, oh, what am I looking at? But I think that if you're born in one of those castell towns, then it's a big thing there.
Now, to finish off the questions, I would like to ask, what is a typical day for you like? And I know that times are a bit weird right now, so I guess this might lead into, yeah, quick COVID-related check-in, like genuinely, how are things? And yeah.
Well, a typical day, it's a bit, I don't know, it's hard to say, because days are a bit on the fly for me a little bit. So I would wake up, I would have breakfast, first a coffee, first thing, coffee. I don't do anything if there's no coffee involved. Then breakfast, and then I would either walk the dog, or start, checking my emails and working on the computer on the different things that they might have. I don't know. It depends on the day a little bit, but it's basically that. And in a normal day, I would do some errands, because sometimes I have to deliver some things or go and see and meet with somebody, either a distributor or a shop, etc. But nowadays, obviously, those are not so often, or I tend not to do that. And then in the evening, if I haven't walked the dog, then I will walk the dog in the evening. I usually walk him like for an hour or a little more. And then I would sit down and play some games if I can, or watch a movie. That would be my go-to thing. And that would be my day. I would always try to play a little bit if I can, or maybe because we're doing a kind of a movie thing, like watching a trilogy or watching something, then it's movie night. But we usually play in the evening. I usually play during the week video games, because it's a bit easier to just set up and do, because the games I usually like to play on board games are quite long. To
So
both set up and play. So
we've got people in the chat asking one final questionably quick questions. So we asked
sure.
earlier about iced coffee or hot tea.
Yes.
And Aquasulis asks hot coffee or iced tea. Does that change your answer?
Does that change my answer? I think I prefer room temperature for everything. I'm a room temperature person. Yeah, I don't know if that's very odd or not, but I like, if it's too hot, I can't drink it. Don't worry. if it's too hot, I can't drink it. So I have to wait until it's not hot. And yes, in the summer, I'd rather prefer cold stuff, but room temperature is fine. So room temperature coffee.
So,
I see some haters of room temperature coming at me at the chat.
well, there's only one, and we'll just tell people off for anything. No, it's lovely. Nice. But that concludes our questionably quick questions. So the final question, which I posed to the audience, was that quick? Now
No.
let's get to the main topic of just generally talking about you. And
Okay.
Javier wants to know a little bit more about the passport thing that was mentioned in the description, because I think it's actually in the banner that's going over right now. You created game passports to find mythological animals for cities like Madrid or Barcelona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could tell us a bit more about what that is?
Sure. Well, they ask a bit more. It's a thing for tourists. Well, so basically the idea came from, I don't know how much you know about Barcelona, but we have a big tradition in Catalonia, especially with like the UK, especially England as well, and Wales and others, with dragons. Okay, there's if you visit the city and you walk around, you'll see that. Well, you might not see them, and that's kind of the point. That there's a lot of sculptures and like lamps and things that are shaped in the form of a dragon. The dragon is very present in our culture, and in Barcelona, there's more than 500 images of dragons documented, either inside or outside some of the buildings. And I don't think that's very known at all. So sometimes it's not something the people knows about the city when they visit it, or even people who lives here doesn't know about it. And sometimes we just pass by some of these dragons and we don't even realize it. And as a big lover of fantasy and dragons and everything related to mythological world, then I thought that it would be nice if people would be able to find them and see them around the city. And that started this idea that you become a dragon seeker that walks around the city following some tracks to try to find these animals come to life, right? And that was the idea behind the passport. I think I have one here I've been using. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, it is a very simple idea. You have some here. So you basically have a location with here. Basically have a location and some clues to the size, the number of dragons and the size, more or less where are located in the height of the building, and if you can see them more or less anytime, or you need to check the visiting hours of the dragon in case it's not there. You have a map, okay, with more or less where the dragon is located, or that kind of animal in that place, and then an image of where the place looks like, but obviously without the dragon. So this is to do or to play while you're walking around without any application. So one of the things that I also wanted to do, and I understand that now it's very popular to do it digitally, and I don't have anything against it. I think that it's really good to have the digital enhancement, and I'm really looking forward to do some things with that, but also to have the more shared physical experience, because then you can easily share this book. You can easily go through it. You can easily read. You are separated from the phone for a bit. So when you find your dragon, you choose it from one of the stickers that's inside. When you see which one is there, then you go back and you stick the dragon that you just found in the place where it is. And that's how you keep sealing your passport until you finish it. And the idea is that it's not time constrained, so you can play it whenever you want. You can go for a coffee and go find a dragon, or you can, have a couple of beers with friends and go dragon seeing. And that's basically the idea behind it. You can keep doing it for, several weekends. It's not something that you have to do in a rush. And you only need one. If you want one for each person, then that's also possible. But we wanted it to be sure that it was accessible and easy to use. And that was the idea. And it started with Barcelona, and we basically tomorrow started a crowdfunding for the one in Madrid, which we have illustrated. We have it ready. It's illustrated. It's been worked on for a very long time. And we're coming out it's a crowdfunding project here in Spain in a platform called Verkami, and we're doing the one for Madrid. So, and we hope to be able to do more cities if people like this idea, because I saw that somebody commented, is it for tourists? Well, it's for everybody. Because the idea is that if you live in that city, you probably haven't realized much about what's around, or you haven't seen it in those light, in that light. This is like, your city is magical in the same way that when you're reading a book, you enter a different universe. When you're walking around looking for dragons, when you are a dragon seeker, you are in a magic world, and then you can, talk about different things and imagine different things and create your own stories. And I hope that we can do that in many other cities if people likes this idea. And if you want to visit Barcelona in a different way and you're a tourist, then why not? You will end up going in most of the places that you would have been anyway, but in a different way.
I love that. And I was last year, actually, I was on a big holiday with the family. It was my mum and dad's a very big anniversary. So the whole family, we went to Lithuania and then traveled around, and then we went up to Latvia and Estonia. Anyway, so we had basically, I think, 2.5 weeks of holiday, because some people came in from Australia because some people live in Australia, so some people live in Germany, some people live in the UK, and we all met, and in Eastern Europe, having this big holiday that we'd not had together. I think the last time we'd all been together maybe was 5 years ago. Before that, which is so long to be, as a family. And so we did do a lot of interesting things that I would mention briefly. One of them, we did a couple of city tours, one of which was an app that you buy a thing for, and then there's a bit of a story, there's voices, and it says, go here and check out this thing. Now that you're here, look at this and solve this little puzzle. The other, we went on another one of those, which was run by a person who actually followed, well, they didn't really follow you around. It was manned, if you know what I mean. So they met you at the start, and then they met you at the end, and they were on call. So I don't know how many other groups they were dealing with, but maybe it was 5, maybe it was literally only us, but the rest of the day they were just at home doing something else on their computer, like programming or something. But then the other thing I want to mention briefly is Ingress. This digital phone game, the ARG, where you go around, and in London I noticed, oh wow, there's a big blue mushroom on top of the building. Oh wow, there's a giant pink mushroom on top of the building.
Yeah.
And these are, when I say giant, they are maybe the size of a human. So it's a sculpture, but it's not in a fancy part of town. It's basically, you would never look up there because it's just on top of these soaring buildings. And in the corner, there's this mushroom. I don't even know what it's of. I don't understand who puts it, why it's there. But thanks to Ingrid, now I know that it's there, and you appreciate it, and you appreciate the street art. And so I think that having a passport, it can give you the sense of, okay, not only are you on a tour, but also kind of playing, gamifying it, of joy and frivolity to it, as if you know. And he talks about love of sci-fi and fantasy and animation to watch, but surely that's not just to watch them, but for the whole, its immersion in an alternate universe. I mean, sci-fi and fantasy, they are two sides of the same coin, surely. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love what you're doing.
I mean, basically, it's to,
Um,
spark some of your imagination and just go with it. And you can, as you say, you can use it as a kind of a tour. So you can actually follow there's, I think, 12 locations in the passport. So you can actually, go to all of them and you will see a lot of the city. Or you can just do whatever you want, because the idea of it is that you use it the way you want it to use it. If you want to do them all in one day, you just go ahead and do them all in one day. If you want to compete with friends, who finishes first, then go compete with friends. It is a bit of the idea of free play. There are no particular rules. There's only information and clues on how to find them, and then from there you make it your own. And that was part of the idea of making it a bit of a free, something that you can explore in a way that you want. And as I said, because I wanted to start developing some games, some board games first, but obviously the board game it took a long time to produce and everything. But I knew this city a lot better than other cities, and that's why I decided to start with something I knew, and then kind of explore other places and try to find out. We will, hopefully, we will try to explore other locations. And there's so much magic in the cities in Europe, for example, and not just Europe, and anywhere in the world that can be brought. And one of the things I wanted to say is that we are trying, at least, I know we're very small, but one of the things that we're trying to do is to always have at least the illustrator from the location that we're illustrating. I think that that's an important thing to do, to always get the voice of the place, or the voice of the place be heard, so they can illustrate it in their view, or they can also tell you to do some changes, so they see their culture better reflected. And I think that's also a bit important. And we would definitely try to keep this going forward if we ever do other cities that are outside of Spain. I don't know if Bess is frozen. He's very quiet.
related to the sorry, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now, but your image seems to be frozen. I'm not sure it's just me. Yeah, Germany would be great. I know.
I'm
It's in
having
my
bad
list.
connection issues today. I'm very sorry about this.
It's okay, no worries.
Tell us about your PhD and the relevance of that. I'm really interested in that, honestly.
Oh, that's I don't know. It's a bit of I haven't managed to bring the two things together. Maybe one day. So I basically studied law at school, at university, and after that I ended up, weirdly enough, doing a PhD related into knowledge representation for law, which means um, basically trying to represent the concepts of the legal domain to make them understandable by computers. Okay, so like to create smarter applications, or support smart search, things like that we kind of do every day. And that's what I ended up doing and what I work in. And it's an area that and now it's, it goes. So my training was more into a more developing smart applications and vocabularies, but there's also a lot of smart search now in it. So it goes into SEO, the how to be able to search for something more intelligently. So basically, the classic example is when they put, Jaguar. And the question is, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a car or are you looking for an animal, right? So that's one of the traditional discussions. Or orange, are you looking for a color or are you looking for fruit? How do we know how to conceptualize things, and how do we know by recognizing what they are searching for, which kind of meaning does it have, rather than which kind of string of words does it have? So that's kind of what I work in. I don't know if it made any sense. I hope so. Yeah, I'm a bit of a techie and I'm making analog games. That is true. I really like the mixing of both, and I would hope that that I could mix the two worlds better. I think that we're having some technical difficulties today that I cannot fix.
Just wondering.
Yeah, I really like technology, but I think that the analog has also a feeling of social that you don't get in the same way from technology. It's different. It's not in the same way. I love playing video games. I really like playing video games, digital games, and I think they are both relevant things. They're both useful for different things. But I have to admit that when I started playing, I am a role player. Okay, I played role-playing games when I was very young. And I really like the sense of being sitting around a table and discussing our strategy to go forward. So when I play both video games and board games, I really like having that sense of a group working together for something. And I play a lot of cooperative video games online with friends. And also I like playing cooperative board games. So I think that everything's got a good side to it. And I like exploring that. Thanks for keeping asking me questions, and I think best at some point we'll just
One over the other if you have.
Out. Let me see. If you have to pick and rely only on one for okay. My best is gone. I'm keeping pens earlier. 3D drawing pens. And could those be integrated into a game idea? They could. I mean, I am not too familiar with that. I do not know, but it would be really nice to try. I am not very good at that kind of games. I have to admit that I don't play a lot of games that involve skills like drawing or words. Oddly enough, yeah, it's kind of strange, right? I'm doing this thing and then I'm not playing these games and not doing that. But yeah, I think that you can bring a lot of ideas, mixing the worlds together, but always trying. The problem with tech sometimes, and that's kind of a personal thing, is that it makes some things. So it has two sides. It can make games more accessible, but also it can make games more inaccessible. And I think that it's a question when you design it to try to understand what you're trying to do with it. For example, if you introduce using an app to help people read better, or to help people listen to some information that they cannot see, then I think that is fantastic, because it actually tries to bring accessibility into the game. But if you require everybody to have a phone connected to a super good Wi-Fi in order to be able to play, then you're bringing inaccessibility to the game. And I think that those are things that sometimes, as well, not sometimes, but as designers, I think we need to think about when we're creating something. Who's going to be able to play it is always a good question. And when you want to add tech.
You know Michael Herron, Meeples Like Us, I love the quote that they say, which is that at their core, board games are all about inaccessibility. So it's almost like the most interesting part of a board game is, you know, the test of, okay, are you able to calculate the odds? Are you able to lie to people? Are you able to balance a thing?
Yes,
and without having that inaccessibility, you know, the only way you could get around that, arguably, is to have two people playing two games, which I know that Xate and I made in a bond recently, and that turns yogi into, okay, now it's contortion, but now some people are also trading. But the thing about that is it's essentially people playing two totally separate games, that it just happens that these games are played at the same time and they interact with each other. And so within each game, there is essential inaccessibility that you need to choose. What am I testing?
Yeah, I mean, it is part of it. I mean, it's not. I don't think that for every game you can think, how can I make it accessible for absolutely everybody. I think that it is very difficult to achieve that for every single game. But I do think that you can think how to make it. So depending on what you're designing, there's some choices just in the making of the components or in some small designs that you can make it more accessible. And I think that always having that view will help you make your games more accessible to people. That doesn't mean that they have to be accessible for everyone. I am a very bad liar. That will never change. There's some games that I cannot play, and I'm not making jokes of accessibility that it's based on other things, okay? But I mean, there's some things that cannot change. That's the kind of game that it is, and I'll simply choose to play or not, or do it very badly. But in some cases, if we can make the pieces slightly bigger, or we can help with being able to provide a support app of some sort, so people that can hear, that have some visual impairments, even the color blindness. There's some small things that we can do to improve our games, and that they don't change the game initially. They don't change it too much, but they definitely make it a nicer experience for a lot of people. So I think that if we can do that, then that's something we have to strive for. That doesn't mean that all the games need to be completely accessible for everybody. And if that was what it was understood, I apologize for not being very clear.
Oh, no. I'm not suggesting that. I jotting out the point Michael Herron made. And Aquasulis puts it another way, that the challenge of the game inherently brings accessibility. I mean, it's posed as a question, but I feel like the answer to this to me is undoubtedly yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, every game requires some sort of skill. From that perspective, it is true. But most of the skills, let's put it that way, most of the skills can either be learned or improved. What I am referring to is the sort of things that cannot, right? So now you showed an image of the board game that we did. So this is the board game that we published last year, and it's called Zoom In Barcelona. Before you told me, do you have a theme game? Promote yourself. I'm really bad, but we do have a game that the concept is that you're photographers competing in the city of Barcelona to win a photography contest, right? So it's a point-to-point movement using cards, and you have to arrive to locations to do you can do different actions to acquire the images, and then score the points to win. And that's part of the game. So obviously, this game is a bit inaccessible to people who have some motor problems, like because it has small pieces, etc. But we did try to make it colorblind friendly with the icons, choosing the colors, etc. So at least we could open its accessibility a little bit more. That's what I meant. I think that inherently, not every game has a barrier, but that's part of the games. It's just that if we can soften those barriers, some of the barriers, I think that that's always good.
100%. And oh my gosh, these bring back so many memories. This is from near
In
the
Birmingham,
Peters,
the UK Games Expo.
the
This is a
custard factory.
fantastic place. Fantastic place. We stumbled upon it by mistake, and I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, that was last year. This year we were supposed to go and present the game. The last year when we went, it was a demo, and we managed to publish it for Spiel in Essen last year in October. And we wanted to go this year to UK Games Expo with the published game, and fortunately it hasn't been possible. We will be at the virtual expo. So the game is also available digitally. So if you want to play it, you can go to Tabletopia, and there is a free version of the game on demo that you can play, which is basically what we call the starter kit, which is not the full game. It's a version of the game that is a lot faster and a lot simpler. But that we think you give you an idea of what's in the game, so you can try it. But yeah, I miss the convention. That is something that the lockdown has brought, right? That we cannot. No, just in game. So yes, so you're basically moving around the city on the map of the board and then taking the pictures from the locations that are on the map on the board. Maybe one day we will do a sort of Zoom in Barcelona for real, when we can organize something like that. I think that would be really nice. Some people have already said that could be a good idea, so I'm definitely jumping in. So yeah, the game, as you see here, the game has a lot of cards with illustrations of the places in the city that you take pictures of. So there's 86 cards, 86 illustrated cards by Sophie Wainwright, who's she's from the UK, but she lives here in Barcelona, and she's done an amazing job at the artwork. I really like how she's illustrated and given life to the places in the city in her own way. And that's basically what you do. So you have to compete to take these cards that are the pictures, and you also compete to take the skyline of the city in a kind of a set collection, competing with the other players. It's a 2-to-6 competitive game, although the competition is, let's say, the level of interaction is mild, because we also wanted to have a fun experience and not get a lot of people annoyed while they're playing, but at the same time, give you some interaction moments, but not a lot of interaction that you feel that you can't do what you want.
Javier asks if there's any plans for an ARG like Catan World Explorers or Pokemon Go.
Well, that's a good question. I saw the Catan World Explorers come up, and I was interested in seeing what it would do. And Pokemon Go. So basically, some part of the idea of the passports is Pokemon Go, in the sense that you're basically going to places and you find these animals that exist there. It's just not in a virtual app. But I would like definitely to explore increasing, so to have a digital part implemented as well, so you can have more added to it in the way that you can use that you can do in these apps, because obviously they can add additional story, they can add additional things for you to enjoy, and that would be the way that I would like to do it. But no, I don't have plans to do a Catan world for Zoom in Barcelona yet. Maybe in the future, who knows? What I would love to do is
I mean,
obviously
I think
expand it
that,
more. Yeah, those are the cards.
and so what was the most, what's the part that you're proudest of, would you say?
In what? In
I
general,
mean, I
for
was
the
with this particular game that we're talking about. In Zoom, what's the part that, like, actually, I did a good job with bits of the game, or hey, that was a clever twist that I did. I mean, if you had to pick just one thing, that
just one thing. I mean, managing to do it is already something that we can be proud of, because actually starting a game, designing it. In this case, I have to say that I designed it. I didn't design it alone. The board game, it was an effort of three different people: Loy Pujadas, Joaquim Vilalta, and myself. I asked them if they would join me in this idea of creating a board game about the city of Barcelona, but where you didn't need to know anything about the city at all, but you could still see the city and feel that you are in it. And that was part of the requirements. And I would say that I'm quite proud, because I think we achieved that idea that it's a board game about the city, but it's not, you don't need to know anything about it, but you still have the feel that you're going around it. And going from when it started as a small idea, playtesting it with them, which was a great experience, managing to go to conventions, present a prototype, and in the end print it and put it into the shops. I think that it was hard work, and I think that everybody who manages to do that, they should be happy from what they did, because it just, it's effort, and it's something that you did and you managed to do it. You went from an idea, from a dream, for something real, and that's always very rewarding. And that would be my comment on that.
I love that positivity. Because yeah, it's all too easy to ignore the fact that yeah, sometimes even yeah, the act of creation and getting it done, just finishing something.
It's
And I
hard.
love
It is
what Xate
exhausting.
has said in the past. I mean, Xate once said in the past, we all have value, not even because of anything we've done, but just simply because we are. Do you know what I mean? And I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was such a lovely thing for Xate. Anyway, we've got another question about it. Did you try to get it licensed to another publisher?
No, I did not. So this one in particular, when I was already thinking about it and I presented the idea to my colleagues, it was for me to be published. I understood that it was a game that I wanted to make, that I thought it would be hard for a particular publisher to decide that that was something that they, their line in the portfolio. And I really wanted to do it my way, in a sense, to be able to choose the illustrator, to be able to get it the way that I wanted it to be. And I didn't really look for other publishers to have it. No, not this one. No. But as you said, I think that sometimes we get too caught up in how well we're doing, or if we get praised, and if we don't, then we get a bit depressed because we think that we did something wrong, or we haven't done what we should have done, etc. But I think that when you work hard towards something, you spend your time doing something, it is worth reminding yourself that you've put a lot of effort into something that came true, and that in itself is a good thing for everybody. And we should always be more positive about these things and not so negative, and try to get the negativity. You know, negativity can bring us down so easily, and it's so hard to be positive. So the little that we can do to be, we should try.
I mean, I think there are lots that we could go into. We could start talking about why would you pick the benefits of self-publishing, because and I have both chosen to do this. And maybe that's a topic for another day if you want to, if you're up for coming back maybe in a few weeks' time or something. And I promise that I'll make sure to try and sort out better internet. Don't know what's going.
It's okay. The friends on the chat were very nice, and we kept chatting, so that was really great. So don't promise better internet, might not happen. No, but I mean, self-publishing has good things, but it's also very hard. So we can, from the little I know, I'm definitely up for a chat and to get your experience in it as well. You have far more experience on it. It would be very nice to hear you talk about it.
So, I mean, I just love what you've done with really trying to game to. And I'm actually having leave Mark from Tabletopia on in a couple of weeks, which I'm looking forward to chatting with them. That's all. Have you found?
Can hear you very well. Let's see the question.
How have you found Tabletopia?
Okay. It was pretty easy to, I mean, that was one of the things that was done during the lockdown. I had it in my list of things to do that I wanted to try. I wanted to try to put the game digitally to see how it worked. And since we were in lockdown, that was, you know, one of the things that I could try to do to get people to play the game and to demo it to people. That was the only way that I could do it. So it was quite easy to use. I think it's a platform that is very well set up for that, and that was something I really enjoyed having it there. So I could have during March and April, especially April and May, the beginning of May, we did a lot of demos. We even did a championship. We organized a championship online. We got 23, 24 people playing the game at the same time in different teams, well, in different games. So we had 6 simultaneous games with referees and everything, and then the winners of the games passed into the second phase, and then at the end there was a prize, and it was something to do during the lockdown that was a lot of fun. And I really appreciate that there's these platforms now that can help us with this. They are not the same thing, but they're still useful. The only difference that obviously you feel a lot is that you have to interact with them like you're playing, but it's always a bit more chunky. You know, it's chunky, clunky. My English sometimes gets in the way.
Clunky, yes.
Clunky. So you know, you have to grab a card, but obviously you don't have hands, so you have to kind of try to get it in the right place, and sometimes it drops on the table and then everybody sees it. And you know, there's always these little things that you have to get used to when you play with some applications that are not completely automated. I think Board Game Arena is, so that's a very different experience. Tabletopia, I like Tabletop Simulator. They still have a lot of manual use. And that can feel a bit strange sometimes when you cannot hold something, or you drop it, or you don't put it in the right place. But still, they give you the feeling that you're playing on a table, which is, in its sense, it's good. So I would recommend, if you want to try the game, it's there. Just go. You only need to be a member of Tabletopia, and you can try all the free games that are there. So that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
I always drop my virtual cards in real life too. Yes.
And I don't know if you want to leave this question for next time or if you are happy to answer this now. But I feel like this is a really big question. It's up to you.
I have to say that although I tried to keep myself busy, like doing, putting all the game online and trying to organize demonstrations and championships and stuff. I also had to take some time out. I wanted to, at some point, that the feeling of you're locked somewhere and you can't really go out, you can't see the people that you love, it's hard. And I think that was also important to just chill and take some time and recover. But what I got to do, which is something that I should try to keep up with now that we're not so much in lockdown, is call my mother every single day. That is something that I didn't do before. And that, why not? Is that those kind of little things that you just don't think of it, and then suddenly becomes the most important thing. And also have a family call on Sundays. That was the other thing that we started doing, which we'd never done before. We're so used to just send each other a message or a WhatsApp or are you okay? Yeah, I'm good, and that's it. And then suddenly talking to them was important, and I think that I should try not to forget that. So basically working online, trying to prepare the games, working to be able to launch a crowdfunding whenever it was possible for the passport. That was what I did during the lockdown in terms of board games and work and stuff. I didn't design. I had very hard time being creative during the lockdown. I don't know why. Maybe I was simply stressed. But then I put a lot of effort into talking to family and talking to friends, and that
I
was
think that's
the other
such
big
a
part.
lovely thing. And I'm going to stop it at the moment because I know we've been talking for
But
80 minutes. But let me ask, what are you looking forward to? What are your hopes and ambitions? It's over to you for this final section. Now, these can be really small things. That's totally okay. And I want to say that I am looking forward to, okay, today I'm doing a bit of cycling and I'm going to buy some bubble tea.
Are you?
Yes, I am. So, got it's ready to go out shopping, get my mask. But even so, I'm going to click and collect. So I will order it and then I'll go to the place and tell them to hold on. And yeah, basically it's a 13-mile round trip, but it's a nice bubble tea place. Honestly, it's also the closest to us, as far as I know, but it's also really good bubble tea, Mubu. But
That's nice.
yeah, I just really like bubble tea these days, and I'm also looking forward to the next stream at the clock. But I'm looking forward to reading more of the L games. I've read through half of them so far. I'm reading through them. Looking forward to um, being with Chris. There's so much going on, and yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. And my hope and ambition is generally just I think that we can all be kind to ourselves.
That's a very nice hope and ambition, really. Okay, mine. What I'm looking forward to, right? We probably. We still have to kind of set up the date, but probably this week I'm gonna make. We're gonna have another Mansions of Madness game online with a friend, and I'm really looking forward to it because that's the. We used to play when I lived in the Netherlands, and he's a friend that lives there with his family, and we used to play every Thursday role-playing games together, and I do miss that a lot. So these Mansions of Madness games online that we play kind of bring the joy of that role-playing episodes that I miss. So I'm looking forward to doing another game of that. Hopefully one of these nights during the week that we still have to agree to. And then hope and ambition. Well, I have to say, because I'm about to launch a crowdfunding project, and it's the first one I've ever launched, and I don't know how it's going to go. I really hope it goes well. At least I hope I learn a lot from it, that to see what people think about, the passport, the game, to see what they, what they see, what they think of it once they know of it, and go from there. It's a bit of into the unknown kind of song. So that's the thing.
And Sate says that they are looking forward to you. And everyone feel free to assume that Sate means you. Yes, you. And I invite everyone, even if they don't want to share it, feel free to ponder in their own mind at least one thing that you're looking forward to. Hopefully something that you're looking forward to doing today, maybe something over the next week, and maybe even something that's in the next couple of months. Because there are things that we can look forward to in life, and it's so important to keep these in our hearts. And so, with that being said, if you want to check me out, I'm stuffbybez.bigcartel.com, where you can buy my stuff, twitter.com/stuffbybez, where I check out stuff, instagram.com/stuffbybez, which is bunch of pictures, twitch.tv/stuffbybez, where it's best for the streaming, facebook.com/thingsbybez, and stuffbybez@gmail.com, that's my email address. And if people want to find you, Núria, where can people find you best?
Well, they can find me usually on Twitter. So I'm always on Twitter. I'm Nucaica. It's Nucaica, and that's my personal crazy place where I can post whatever. And then if you want to follow what am I doing as a publisher, then I'm called Cucafera Games, which is Cucafera is I hope that it's written somewhere under. Cucafera is an animal, a traditional Catalan animal, mythological creature that is related to the dragons, but it has the head of crocodile and the body of a turtle, and usually related to water instead of fire. And that's, that's the name, Cucafera, and then games, and that is me. So you can find.
If you want to just follow the links, they are written in the description on the YouTube, Facebook, and I will paste the Twitter for Núria in Twitch, where you can find everything else. But that brings us to the end. And so to recap, wow, I mean, it was really interesting hearing about those passports. I mean, and yeah, to kind of such a lovely idea. I mean, I think that this is going to be such a big thing, kind of, it's sort of like escape rooms, like city tours, like puzzle hunts, and just sometimes like, okay, let's go and find these things and be there. And it's a destination, it's a reason to go somewhere. Like I wanted to gamify my own cycling and try to visit all the the London Underground stops, although I've not gotten very far. I have done two of the lines though. I've done all of the Victoria line and all of the Piccadilly line. So it's but yeah, I love that idea, and maybe we could get maybe we could chat about it and work out the system of having one for. I don't know if London would have just one or if there would be multiple because it's so big.
Yeah. I mean,
It's maybe one for Glasgow.
London's
And
in the list.
there's all these lovely things going on. And I want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone watching. I don't know, Yetip. Javier, thank you for tuning in again. Thank you, Xate. Thank you, Aquasulis. Thank you. Yeah, sure, we could have a passport for Leipzig. Yeah, maybe this could be something that you start outsourcing and that you become like a publisher and there's some sort of submissions process for people to design their own things for their cities. But thank you everyone following along. Thank you, Alan Outson. I hope I mentioned for listening along. And most importantly, thank you, Núria, for coming virtually and joining us. And
well, thank you, Bess, for inviting me. It was really, really nice to finally sit down and talk to you instead of the stress of the conventions. And thank you, everyone, for asking questions and keeping the conversation up. It was really nice.
And yeah, if you have enjoyed this, then please feel free to share and spread the word. I will be back at 8 p.m. tonight. Hoping to play. I'm still not 100% confirmed, but hoping to have KC, the Nigerian board game designer, back again for another party game, this time called Concentration and Concentration. And then we're going to play, hopefully, a quick game that I think it was Aquasulis who made the suggestion to turn 3 mil and 4 mil into 5 mil and add a race aspect to it. Or maybe they just suggested 5 mil and I came up with the race aspect. Anyway, that's something that I'm doing tonight, and I'm doing a thing every day at 10 a.m. Tomorrow we have people from Inside the Box talking about releasing a game at Gen Con Online. On Thursday we have Dina, and Friday I'm super excited. We have an actual programmer from Board Game Arena. So I'm going to talk to a designer who programmed their own game onto Board Game Arena. And then Saturday is my 100th episode. So I've done this almost 100 times already. And Saturday I'm going to do a crazy thing. I'm going to basically share the link semi-publicly. And if anyone wants to join in, then basically if I recognize your name, you can join in. So if you're just been lurking here, then I probably won't, because there's a lot of horrible people on the internet. I'm not going to let literally anyone in, because on the bottom there's a kind of, I click on your name, but if I recognize your name, then everyone is welcome for Saturday to just join in this crazy 100th spectacular. And so that's my next streams. And yeah, I want to say one thing now, and all I wish to say is bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. But now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Yay! Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show.
Bye.
Bye, 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 bye. And now It's time to go. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.